For 11 years, Earth had watched the stars without knowing they were being watched in return. It started slow glitches in satellite data, strange bursts of radio static, and the occasional shimmer in the sky that didn't quite align with anything natural. Scientists dismissed them as atmospheric anomalies. Conspiracy theorists spun wild tales. But most people just went about their lives, unaware that something far beyond them was circling closer every day. Then came the signal. It was received by 12 listening stations around the planet at the exact same moment. Perfectly clear, translated through methods no one on Earth could even begin to understand. It didn't ask for contact. It didn't offer peace. It was a warning. This planetary system has violated multiple statutes within the Galactic Concord. Continued disregard for established law will result in correctional interference. You are ordered to comply immediately. There was no mention of which laws had been broken. No explanation. Just the cold, formal language of an authority so vast and sure of itself. It didn't think Earth deserved further clarification. Governments panicked in secret. Military operations shifted overnight. Satellites were redirected. Emergency meetings between world leaders took place behind layers of encrypted communication. And for the first time in a long while, humanity looked up at the stars not with wonder, but with unease. Still, the people were told nothing. That changed when the second message arrived this time, projected across Earth's sky in brilliant white lettering that hovered for 10 minutes, before dissolving into the clouds like it had never been there. Final warning. Cease all violations. The presence of unregulated warp signatures emanating from your solar system is under review. You are within line of breach. The words meant little to the common person. But to the hidden pockets of Earth's space operations, experimental physics programs, deep space research labs, and the military, the message hit like a hammer. Someone on Earth had accidentally or purposely tapped into a level of technology that had crossed a line. And whoever was out there watching wasn't happy about it. By then, rumors had already started leaking. Grainy videos of strange ships in orbit, whistleblowers talking about alien contact cover-ups, desert test sites going dark. People started asking questions, and the answers weren't coming fast enough. So Earth did something unexpected. It responded. Not with diplomats, not with scientists in lab coats or scared politicians reading from a script. Instead, the reply came through a rogue military channel, patched together through a scrambled signal that only lasted 43 seconds before it was wiped clean. The message was short, but it was enough to change everything. This is Captain D from the UNS Misfit. Your warning is noted. That's cute. We have our own laws here. Earth law. Galactic Concord doesn't apply. Those 39 words ignited a firestorm within hours. The UN was called into emergency session. Disavowals were issued. Apologies drafted. Every global power came forward saying they had no knowledge of the broadcast. But it was too late. The third message didn't come politely. It ripped open the sky over New Zealand. A rift formed halfway between a black hole and a lightning strike frozen in time, and through it came a fleet of vessels impossible to describe. They didn't use engines. They simply appeared where they wanted to be. Graceful silver arcs that defied gravity, carried by soundless propulsion and glowing with a quiet menace. They spoke again, but this time not with words. The power across half the planet failed. Communications went dark. Clocks ticked backward. Planes halted mid-flight only to resume seconds later, like time itself had skipped. A display of dominance, not violence. A demonstration. And then, as suddenly as they had arrived, the ships returned to the rift and vanished. But everyone understood the message. The warning was real, and enforcement was coming. So Earth turned inward and outward. Suddenly, those outdated rockets and dusty hangars didn't seem so outdated. Every black-budget project got greenlit. Secret orbital programs were unified under one silent directive. Earth wouldn't kneel. Not like this. They found the broadcast origin soon enough. An old warship, repurposed years ago for deep-range exploration and long since declared missing. The UN's Misfit. Everyone assumed it had been destroyed in a gravity well experiment gone wrong. Turns out it had gone farther than anyone dreamed, and whoever this Captain D was, he wasn't just alive. He'd been watching the stars and the watchers. The misfit had gone silent after the message. No transmissions, no signals. But then something unexpected occurred. A privateer vessel, smugglers by most accounts, limped back into lunar dock with a story no one wanted to believe. They claimed they'd come across a derelict satellite deep in Kuiper space, broadcasting old Earth rock music on loop. Not just any music pre-invasion tracks last aired over a decade ago. Beneath the distortion was embedded a cryptic message, asterisk, they're bluffing. They don't enforce, they scare. Building something. Keep it quiet. Working from outside. Misfit out, asterisk, the signal matched the last known transponder code of the misfit. It hadn't been idle. It had been preparing. Who was this captain? A ghost? A deserter? Or someone who'd seen what was waiting for Earth before anyone else? Speculation ran wild. Some said he was exiled for refusing commands. Others claimed the misfit had encountered alien archives and unlocked tech far beyond anything Earth had. A few believed quietly and with fervor that the captain was building a resistance. Not to the laws of Earth, or even to the alien presence, but to the idea that humanity was somehow a lesser species that needed outside control. Overnight, the captain became a symbol. Not of rebellion, but of pride. We have our own laws, 4 words that began to carry weight. On Earth, in orbit, beyond Luna, people listened. And that was what really scared them, because the next message wasn't just a galactic warning. It wasn't projection or a brief disruption. No, this time, Earth's upper atmosphere shimmered, and a voice echoed across every speaker, every radio, frequency, watch, and earpiece. Asterisk, Captain D, you are unjustified. Earth is in breach. Surrender the misfit or face terminal enforcement. You have 1 cycle, asterisk, no one knew what a cycle meant. Hours, days, weeks? It didn't matter because right then, the gravitational sensors near Mars Array started to shake from something big coming into real space. A mass so large it bent the outer rings before it even arrived. A ship unlike anything detected before, its shadow large enough to block starlight, and it was headed for Earth. The misfit? Still silent, but deep in a forgotten moon facility as dust settled on an old launch bay. A pair of flickering lights blinked to life on an unused panel. Monitors flashed blue. Engines in hibernation started to buzz, and a voice came crackling through the comet. Asterisk. Time to remind them whose law they're dealing with. Asterisk. In the cold silence of the lunar subbase, the hum of machinery slowly returned like the heartbeat of something long thought dead. The dark hangar bay, buried beneath layers of abandoned infrastructure and forgotten war tech, lit up one flickering panel at a time. Rust flaked from steel beams. Dust rose from concrete as air systems hissed to life after what must have been years of sleep. At the center of it all sat a ship blunt-nosed, patched together with hypersonic armor and old Earth war tech, its hull scarred like a forgotten veteran from a war no one had dared to speak of. The misfit. No one on Earth had a full record of its crew or mission logs. At least not in any server tied to the global networks. It had been wiped from every database, hidden, buried by design or accident. That was still up for debate. But now, as engines rumbled beneath the surface of the moon, one thing was clear: the ship wasn't done yet. Beneath Earth's skies, tension held firm. Cities returned to uneasy routines, but the news cycle couldn't bury what had happened. People filmed the sky. Every flash, every flicker they thought it might be starting. The holographic warning that shook the globe played again and again on loop. Analysts ran through every second of it, trying to understand who or what had spoken those final words. Surrender the misfit or face terminal enforcement. Governments stayed quiet, but military satellites doubled their rotations. Defense grids that hadn't been tested in decades powered on. A classified station above the Indian Ocean, a relic from the orbital weapon experiments, was suddenly manned again. The quiet war had begun, somewhere outside the orbit of Neptune. Deep watching telescopes finally caught sight of the object. The alien craft that had shifted space like a fist through water wasn't using standard propulsion. It did not arc or burn or course correct like Earth-built vessels. It simply moved as though space chose to part for it. Smooth, terrible, and deliberate. Its size alone dwarfed anything Earth could imagine 3 times the length of the International Space Station. Shaped in an odd geometry that shifted depending on how it was scanned. Cameras adjusted and failed. Radar showed it in 4 places at once. Some scientists whispered words like quantum anchor and non-Newtonian. Mass vectoring, theories too advanced even for the best minds back home. Everyone watching knew one thing. Earth didn't have anything that big. But she had the misfit. And whether she still had the man behind the voice that remained to be seen, back on the moon, inside the controls of the misfit, systems buzzed reluctantly into place. Lights flickered down corridors still lined with old paper manuals. Photographs taped to walls, burnt-in reminders of a distant Earth. The ship felt old, but alive. Not sleek like the Galactic vessels, not artificial intelligence smooth. No neural interfaces. Everything was buttons, levers, switches. It ran like a machine meant to be tested in brutality, and in its command chair sat a figure, silent, half-shadowed, watching diagnostics scroll across a cracked screen. His face was lined, not from age necessarily, but from something deeper. Long years in places time didn't seem to touch. A scar crossed the bridge of his nose, almost surgical. His uniform was unmarked, no insignia. Just an old earth patch stitched onto his shoulder, threadbare and faded. The kind of uniform you wore when rank didn't matter anymore. He pressed a single switch. An analog comms relay sparked to life. Status? A voice clipped through, distorted slightly by distance. "Ship's breathing," he replied, voice low, steady. Not pretty, but still mean. There was a pause. "You know what's above Earth now?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood slowly, walking toward a small window panel, brushing dust off with the back of his glove. Even from the moon's shadowed side, he could see the faint shimmer of satellites moving frantically around the planet. Earth was busy pretending everything was okay, panicking behind closed doors. "I know it ain't here for a chat," he finally said. The voice came again, harder this time. "They'll target you. You poke the nest. This time it's real. You say they like their gods?" he muttered. Then, with a glance toward his console, "They hide behind fear. That's not law. That's performance." Another long silence. "Commands disavowed you. Again." He smirked. "They never avowed me in the first place." Somewhere beneath the ship, ancient hydraulics started lifting the platform that had held the misfit in place. Dust fell like ash. Steel groaned. Earth had been told to surrender. That something above them now claimed to speak for a law that was not theirs. But there was a deeper story unfolding, one no government had dared to admit. Years ago, when Earth had first touched the edge of faster-than-light travel, it had tripped a wire and invisible boundary, covered in ancient treaties drafted by civilizations that had lived in space since before language was even written on. Earth, most planets who stumbled upon warp theory got scooped up, redirected, corrected before they could cause instability in the wider network of spacefaring societies. Earth was supposed to be corrected too, but something strange had happened. When galactic regulators tried to reach Earth, they found resistance not from coordinated fleets or advanced weapons, but from rogue captains, breakaway factions, ships like the Misfit moving on their own, rejecting the idea that Earth owed obedience to anyone it had never met. Somewhere in the black, a pattern had formed. Humans weren't following the rules. To the Galactic Concord, this wasn't just rebellion. It was defiance from a species that should have never been able to defy them. More troubling Earth law had started spreading. Pirates in asteroid belts were quoting sections of Earth's own interstellar freedom charter. Space miners on rogue moons had begun trading under Earth Confederate codes. Even old war criminals who fled justice were hiding behind Earth's obscure legal articles. The human concept of jurisdiction, flawed and messy and full of loopholes, had become infectious. And it was eroding galactic order. The Misfit played a bigger role in that chaos than anyone on Earth knew, or maybe more than they were willing to admit. Captain D's voice had become a symbol to fringe colonies and outlaw ports. A reminder that the big ships in the sky didn't have the final say. That someone, somewhere, was still daring to say no, while world leaders begged for time and claimed Earth was just a developing species. The Concord had clearly lost patience. Their enforcement ship wasn't here to negotiate. It was here to make something or someone disappear, and yet the Misfit rolled from its cradle under the moon like it didn't care who was watching. Meanwhile, on Earth, in a deep underground command facility buried beneath the Arctic ice sheet, a tense meeting was unfolding. A young analyst was speaking quickly, visibly shaking. This document, it's pre-UN. It was unearthed in the old Brazilian vault network. It's from the earliest warp experiments Project Horizon. Timestamps line up with Misfit's last known jump. What are you saying? The general asked flatly. I think they knew, the analyst said. I think whoever sent the Misfit out, they already expected contact with the Concorde. The ship was part of a contingency. All eyes in the room turned to the main screen, where an enhanced composite image of the alien vessel hovered. The ship's shape was getting clearer with every second, and someone had just noticed a disturbing detail. One of its outer sections hummed with symbols. But not alien ones. Numbers, letters, Latin script. Why would an alien ship display our language? Someone asked. No one answered. Because deep in the black there was another theory. One too dangerous to be officially spoken. That Earth hadn't just stumbled into contact with the Galactic Concorde. It had been invited, or warned. Or used. And if that was true, then the Misfits, us rogue captain, might know more than he ever admitted. Might have seen things in the edges of the galaxy, things so far beyond explanation that no war council, no treaty, no galactic warning could cover it. And now he was back. With his ship? But what was he planning to do? No one knew. Up in lunar orbit, the ship's thrusters sparked once green-blue pulse firing toward Earth's orbit. Inside the bridge, the captain sat forward, muttering under his breath, not a war cry or a declaration, just a warning. Better bring more than one ship. Far beneath the Earth's crust, in a bunker thought, long decommissioned code-named Boreal Deep people were watching with growing dread. High-resolution feeds tracked the Misfit's slow rise from the moon's dark side, pushing against the silence of space with deliberate grace. Its old thrusters lit up like tired lungs forced to keep breathing. Around the control room, no one dared speak louder than necessary. Every console showed the same data. The Misfit was en route to intercept. No backup, no authorization. Just, one ship against a silent fleet the size of a continent, still holding position at the edge of Earth's upper orbit. You still think he's bluffing? The technician asked, eyes wide behind thick glasses. No, came the reply. The general in charge leaned back in her seat, rubbing her temple. I think we all pretended he was bluffing so we wouldn't have to deal with the truth. The room fell quiet again. They'd received a new transmission 6 minutes earlier undetected by surface-level channels, hidden from the global net. It had come through a compressed band used only in pre-UN military protocols, the kind of channel designed for ghost fleets and deniable actions. The message was short. Asterisk, if this ends here, make sure the real files don't disappear with me. You'll know what to do. Asterisk, there was no signature. No name, but they all knew who'd sent it. A few years back, this man hadn't been a symbol. He was a problem. A former fleet captain who'd broken formation, vanished with a classified warp core prototype, and ignored every recall order ever issued. Some argued he'd gone rogue after losing his crew. Others claimed he'd seen something during one of Earth's failed, deep breach missions that nobody else believed. And now here he was, back again, flying straight into the orbit of a ship not built by human hands. Meanwhile, orbit-side, the alien vessel remained completely still. Not passive, just observant, like a predator that didn't waste energy unless it had a reason. The ship's hull reflected no light but absorbed scanner pings entirely. No windows, no known weapon arrays. Just a dull geometric superstructure that made no sense to the human eye, a design not shaped by shipyards, but by physics itself. The kind of thing that didn't travel through space. It navigated space like it had always belonged there. On the surface, humanity held its breath. Cities across the world braced quietly, air traffic rerouted, network blackouts enacted under the covers of solar storm warnings. But the people knew, even if no one said it directly, something unnatural had arrived, and the governments of Earth were stalling. In the background of the control room, an AI assistant ran through translation records from every known galactic language catalog during Earth's limited contact years. Nothing matched the strange phrases inscribed on the alien ship's outer edge until one pattern emerged. "They're not a warning," the linguist said suddenly. "They're coordinates." "Coordinates to what?" the general asked. "To multiple systems. Known fringe colonies, old failed Earth settlements. Places humans tried to reach but never successfully terraformed. Why would they post coordinates to our failures?" But no one could answer. Elsewhere, hundreds of meters underground in what used to be a prototype habitat for Martian colonization, two scientists studied an artifact retrieved decades back from a crash in the asteroid fields of Jupiter's orbit. It was an object recovered in silence, boxed away from public knowledge, and far more advanced than anything Earth had produced. No one ever figured out how it worked or who built it. But now its surface had changed. It was glowing. For years it had been dormant. Dead metal, sealed under quarantine signs. Now tiny symbols danced across the glass-like shell of the device. And the symbols matched the markings on the alien ship currently orbiting above Earth. "It's responding to something," one of the scientists whispered. "It's sinking. What do you think it is? Judgment?" The other replied, more to himself than anyone else, but it wasn't just Earth wrestling with confusion. For the first time in decades, a rogue transmission had been intercepted. By the Martian listening array, a private outpost not governed by the UN or Earth's planetary command. The transmission wasn't coming from the alien ship or the misfit. It was coming from deep space, from somewhere far beyond the solar system. Short, harsh tonal pings. Then a sentence in fractured but understandable English. "Misfit not alone. They're not the only enforcers." Underlayers rising, the message ended there. Inside the misfit, the captain read the decrypted version of that message as it unfolded on an aging green-lit screen bolted to his wall. He stared at it for a long time, long enough for the gravity generators to kick slightly sideways as the ship adjusted speed. Then he tapped a small recorder on his chest. "Recording internally, not broadcasting. If they're rising, it means phase timing failed," he said into the mic. He didn't explain it further. Instead, his eyes moved across his small command console to a locked panel, unlit for years. He flicked the cover off, entered a 12-digit code from memory, and the panel hissed open to reveal 6 cylindrical units. Each one bore a strange, glowing filament liquid light pulsing inside like controlled lightning. They weren't weapons. They were failsafes. One of them had markings carved by hand. Ancient Earth script mixed with alien symbols, as if it had come from 2 worlds mashed together. Beside it, a faded journal page was glued haphazardly on the inside of the lid. It simply read, "If this ever opens, you've either gone too far or not far enough." The captain exhaled slowly and closed the panel again. Back on Earth, factions were beginning to fracture. Civilian leaders wanted a diplomatic delegation launched immediately. Military advisors demanded a preemptive attack before moonfall, the calculated position when the alien ship would be in perfect view of the northern hemisphere. Intelligence analysts advised waiting, watching, learning, but time was breaking down. More anomalies were being detected now. Air pressure shifts on the edges of stratosphere layers. Sudden spikes in gravity sensors across the Pacific Basin. Whispers of magnetic fields being slightly rewritten. Even the moon registered slight seismic activity beneath ancient craters, like something was stirring below its surface that had been asleep for far too long. Then it happened. The alien ship moved again. Not toward Earth, but toward the misfit, both. Vessels now faced one another in low orbit visible from the ground as twin points of light less than a kilometer apart. The misfit, aging and uneven, dwarfed by the clean and monstrous presence of the alien craft. There was no sound. No visual flare, but every listening device on Earth caught the surge. A deep, low-frequency tone spread across the planet's ionosphere, buzzed through oceans, even triggered some animals into movement flocks of birds taking. Often near unison, whales breaching in strange patterns, insects vanishing back underground. The frequency was not just sound. It was memory being triggered, something ancient. And then the vessels connected, not physically, but through light, a narrow beam so tight it ran like a laser fired from the alien ship into the misfit, hitting a plate just beside its bridge. All systems flickered. Inside the misfit, the captain jolted. Screens went dead, artificial gravity dipped. For 3 seconds, time felt like it malfunctioned. And then his ship began to speak, not in his voice, but in someone else's, a child. "Protocol 0, return the fragment," said the voice, soft as wind. "Who are you?" He muttered aloud, watching as another set of lights came on across, his panel code spinning too fast to interpret. The voice came again. "You have what we left behind. Hiding will not extend your cycle." And just like that, the beam vanished. Lights on the misfit surged back. And slowly, its system stabilized, but something had changed. Whatever had just scanned the ship, it recognized the tech on board. Not as stolen, but as theirs, and now Earth was in a fight it didn't even understand. The captain didn't flinch. He leaned forward, typing in new trajectory commands by hand. Something deep in his ship was calling. And deeper still, something in space had started to wake up. He muttered to himself quietly. Just before the thrusters pushed him higher into orbit, "We never stole this tech, we inherited it." The Earth spun quietly below, blue and calm, as if it wasn't caught between forces it couldn't fully see. In orbit, high above the clouds and shadows of confusion, 2 ships remained locked in silence. The alien cruiser, still unmoving and absolute in shape, hovered like a celestial verdict. The misfit, old and weather-beaten, drifted closer in defiance of everything the laws of space and sanity might suggest. There were no diplomats, no negotiations, just 2 vessels floating within striking distance, both armed in their own ways, both driven by forces no one had yet understood. Inside the control room at the Earth Strategic Operations Command, buried under reinforced rock in the Andes, tension shattered whatever veneer of calm remained. The scientists couldn't interpret much of the strange frequencies being exchanged between the alien ship and the misfit, something between data and intent, passed not through language but through